for Trump to go on offense. Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, we are almost there. You can sense the excitement, the anticipation, frankly, the hope for a renewal in our nation after 4 long, brutal years of the Biden regime. Today is Friday. Monday at high noon, President Trump, God willing, will be inaugurated as the 47th President of the United States. And already now, many of his cabinet nominees have been given confirmation hearings. Many more are still going to be given confirmation hearings. And what has really stood out, and I have to say, this started with Pete Hegseth for the pick of Defense Secretary. And from then, it just kept building and building. Pam Bondi for Attorney General. She has done an absolutely outstanding job. I mean, just hammering the Democrats on that committee. But it's not just Pam Bondi. Marco Rubio has risen to the occasion. Chris Wright, Energy Secretary, knocking it out of the park. Doug Burgum yesterday for Secretary of Interior. I could go on and on and on. What you're seeing is every single one of Trump's nominees have performed magnificently under fire. The Democrats have been brutal, absolutely brutal, in their attacks on every single nominee. Maybe the worst is Mazie Hirono, and I'll play the cut later in the show. But she basically accused Doug Burgum of being a rapist, a sexual predator. He looked stunned. She asked him point blank, first question, have you ever sexually assaulted anybody? And he's like, what? It's like, what? So this is what we're going to expect from the Democrats for 4 years. It is going to be ceaseless, relentless, vicious, dirty, nasty opposition of the lowest kind. And yet, they haven't laid a glove. And so, Hegseth now, as I speak to you, is poised to be confirmed. Pam Bondi is poised to be confirmed. And I got to say this again about Pam Bondi, because she's going to be the Attorney General, the chief law enforcement officer in the country. She is brilliant. What I saw in 2 days of hearings, man, she's tough. She's smart. She takes no bull. She's willing to push back. She's serious. She's combative. She's tough as nails. I think Pam Bondi has the makings of a great Attorney General. But every single one of the nominees is now looking extremely impressive. It looks like the Democrats will not be able to bring down, knock on wood, a single one of them. Trump is going to have the cabinet that he wants, frankly, the cabinet that he deserves and that we deserve. And maybe one of the most important positions, if not the most important position. And you can always agree to disagree. Some people may say it's the Attorney General. Others may say it's CIA Director. Others may say it's FBI Director. Others may say it's Secretary of State. Others may say it's Secretary of Defense. Yeah, they're all extremely important positions. But for me, it's going to be Tom Homan, as the borders are. Because the number one task that Trump has, he's got a lot to fix, don't get me wrong. But this wide open, porous, dangerous border, which has now facilitated an invasion of 20 million illegals. If we do not stem this invasion, I'm telling you, our country is finished. We will never be able to come back. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. And this is, to me, what is most shocking. Trump clearly now coordinating with Speaker Mike Johnson and Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune. They're already laying the groundwork for day one, not just massive executive orders, but congressional legislation that is now going to finally fix and repair our broken immigration system and start now to go after and deport countless criminal illegal aliens. Now, to show you how irresponsible, I'm sorry, there's no other word, disgusting, many Democrats have now become on this issue, how they will consistently put the interests and well-being of criminal, vile, illegal aliens, rapists, murderers, child molesters, sexual predators, over American citizens and American residents. I want you now to listen. You got to hear what has now happened over the last couple of days. First, both the House and the Senate, unanimous support among Republicans, passed the Laken Riley Act. They are waiting now for Biden to depart on Monday, for Trump to be inaugurated, sworn in officially, and then they will be able to put a bill on the president's desk, which Trump will sign enthusiastically. Laken Riley, as many of you know, in some ways became the tragic face of Biden's border crisis and Biden's border invasion. A 22-year-old student in Georgia who was brutally assaulted and then murdered by an illegal alien as she did her morning jog. This illegal had been repeatedly detained in New York and other parts of the country. He was a criminal. He still came in under Biden. Then he was arrested for theft. He was arrested for burglary. He was arrested for other crimes. And yet again and again and again, Biden and his ICE team and his supporters in sanctuary cities let this killer go until he finally weighed his way down to Georgia and committed his dastardly deed on Laken Riley. The Laken Riley Act, if it becomes law, and now it looks like it will become law, explicitly says that if an illegal alien, remember, these are people who enter our country illegally, if they are arrested, caught, committing a crime in America, theft, burglary, shoplifting, whatever it may be, then that illegal alien will be immediately, it's mandatory, must be detained by ICE. You have to call ICE for them to come to detain this illegal and then to deport this illegal. Because had this been done, Laken Riley and countless others like her would be alive today. I am an unabashed supporter and defender of the Laken Riley Act. Here's what's incredible. In the Senate, every single Republican voted to pass the Laken Riley Act. 10 Democrats and 1 independent. Bernie Sanders voted niet. They voted no. And 2 of them were from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. To their eternal shame, Elizabeth Warren voted. Pocahontas, the chief, voted against the Laken Riley Act. Marcula, I want to take your money. I want to suck your blood. Voted niet. By the way, Massachusetts is the only state in the union where both of our senators voted against the Laken Riley Act. By the way, Mazie Hirono, the so-called big feminist, also voted no. You vote no? To say that criminals should be deported, criminal illegals should be deported from our country? Criminals that we know, i.e. Laken Riley, but I can give you so many other names, who because they were not detained or deported, ended up murdering innocent young American women? And you vote no? And then yesterday, to the shock and horror of many in Washington, 145 Democrats in the House of Representatives. Let me give you that number again. 145 Democrats in the House voted no to a bill that literally says if you are arrested in the United States and you're an illegal alien for raping a woman or molesting or abusing a child, you will be automatically detained and deported. They literally are now defending illegal alien rapists, murderers, and molesters. 19 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Look, I think Trump and his supporters in Congress really now, the Republicans, frankly, congressional Republicans, can really now put the screws into the Democrats and truly expose them for being so morally, intellectually bankrupt, frankly evil. I mean, I'm sorry, there's just no other word, or satanic, as many of you are saying. So here it is. This is unbelievable. So I mentioned the Laken Riley Act here. So Nancy Mace, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, Republican, South Carolina, who, as many of you know, is a victim of sexual assault. She is a sexual assault survivor. And so she sponsored a bill. It is called H.R. 30. If you want the full name, the Preventing Violence Against Women by Illegal Aliens Act. Now, it passed yesterday. It had unanimous Republican support, and to be fair, there were about maybe 40 Democrats, more from these kind of swing districts, who voted for it as well. But 145 House Democrats voted niet, no. These are pro-illegal alien, pro-criminal Democrats. And you're going to say, well, Jeff, boy, those are pretty, Jeff. I mean, pro-criminal, pro-illegal alien, evil, satanic. Jeff, these are, Jeff, what, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning? I want you to listen to what the provisions of the bill are. And honestly, I want to hear from all of you, Kuhner Country, if this sounds unreasonable to you. Okay, 617-266-6868 is the number. Under the provisions of this bill, if you are a convicted felon, I'm just going to pick a country, say Venezuela. Okay, it could be anywhere, Ukraine, I don't care, take your pick. If you've been convicted of a sex crime, you're a convicted rapist, you're a convicted child molester, you're convicted of domestic violence and domestic abuse, or you've committed any kind of domestic violence or child neglect or sex offense of any kind, you are automatically deported. We don't want you here. Now, does this seem, I don't know, does this seem so crazy? Furthermore, the bill has a second key provision. If you come into the country illegally and you commit a rape, a sexual assault, you molest or abuse a child, or you engage in domestic violence, you start stalking people, You, in other words, you engage in any kind of a sexual crime or act of domestic violence against women or children, you are automatically detained and then you are deported. We don't want you here. Now, does this seem so utterly unreasonable? Honest to God, if an illegal alien sexually assaults, rapes, or beats a woman, why would we want this illegal in America? If an illegal alien abuses, or God forgive me, rapes or molests a child, and there's been countless instances of this, we don't want to deport this person ASAP? How sick do these Democrats have to be? And this is what Nancy Mace said to her credit yesterday on the House floor. She looked around in utter amazement. And she said, I'm sorry, there are some pieces of legislation. It's a layup. It's unanimous. Everybody should be on board. I mean, this is like the sky is blue, mom and apple pie. But we've got the overwhelming majority of the Democratic Party dead set against protecting women and children from illegal aliens who murder, rape, and molest? Holy mackerel. No, really, holy shamoli. Now, I'm going to make a prediction. When H.R. 30 makes its way to the Senate, Preventing Violence Against Women by Illegal Aliens Act, and it's going to make its way either today or very early next week, and all the Republicans are going to vote for it. And I'm telling you, there's going to be a few Democrats with half a brain, like Fetterman in Pennsylvania, who realizes I'm going to get killed politically if I don't vote for this. So there's going to be some Democrats that will support it. I'll bet you the best steak, and please don't take me up on this bet because I don't want to blow up to 400 pounds. I'll bet you the best steak at the best steakhouse. I'm telling you, don't take the bet because you're going to lose. And I can eat a lot of steaks. And my kids don't want me to become a beached whale. That Ed Markey and Elizabeth Warren are going to vote against this act. I guarantee it. Bernie Sanders, like the Laken Riley Act, is going to vote against it. Mazie Hirono is going to vote against it. You can, as sure as the sun rises, these crazy liberals and moonbats are going to vote niet, no. And they claim to be for women? They claim to be for feminists? Before I take calls, I'm going to play a cut of Mazie Hirono, okay? This despicable senator from Hawaii who goes after Doug Burgum. So, and she says, have you ever committed a sexual assault? And he's like, what? So, if you commit a sexual assault, she says you're not fit to be a member of the cabinet. But you're fit to to come into the United States. You're fit to remain in the United States if you're an illegal alien. Liberalism is a mental disorder. 32 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I can't wait for Monday. I mean, I really can't wait for Monday. Anyway, look, I just want to throw this out there, really. I'm looking at these pieces of legislation now that the Republicans in the House and the Senate are passing, and Trump is saying he's going to sign day one. I mean, literally, just put it on my desk, boom, there's my signature. Eminently commonsensical. I'm looking at this and I'm like, really, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm all for these pieces of legislation, the Laken Riley Act and this H.R. 30 that was Nancy Mace's sponsoring. Basically, Prevention Against Women and Children by Illegal Aliens Act. Okay, prevention of violence. And I'm like, why weren't these on the books a long time ago? I mean, this is such common sense. Who can vote against this? So let me ask all of you. A couple lines are still open. I want to load up the lines. I promised that I'll go right to the phones. 617-266-6868 is the number. Do you agree with Nancy Mace? Do you agree with Republicans in the House and the Senate, and of course Donald Trump, that if illegal aliens are caught committing crimes in our country, such as theft or burglary or shoplifting, that they should be automatically detained and deported so they don't go on to commit further, more heinous crimes like what happened, the murder of Laken Riley? I say yes. To me, this is a no-brainer. And then the one that really, really gets my gall is this bill that was passed yesterday with all of this, despite this massive Democrat opposition, in which if you're a convicted rapist or child molester, or you come into the country illegally, and you are then caught committing a sex crime or a child abuse crime or domestic violence, that you should automatically be detained and deported. And already you have Democrats lining up saying they're going to vote against it. So I want to ask all of you, should sexual predators, I can't believe I'm asking this, should murderers, rapists, and child molesters, should they be automatically detained and deported if they commit crimes, illegals now, if they commit crimes against American citizens here on American soil? I say yes. Sadly, most Democrats, liberals, and progressives, especially Elizabeth Warren and Ed Markey and Bolshevik Bernie, say no. Unbelievable. 617-266-6868. Okay, so here it is. This is Senator Mazie Hirono. My bad. Mazie Hirono is a no. Was a no on Laken Riley and is a no now on this bill sponsored by Nancy Mace. So listen to her go after Doug Burgum, confirmation hearing to be the next Interior Secretary. Roll cut 35. Mike.
As part of my responsibilities to ensure the fitness of nominees before any of the committees on which I sit, I asked the following two initial questions. First is, since you became a legal adult, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical harassment or assault of a sexual nature?
No, Senator, I have not.
Have you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement related to this kind of conduct?
I have not.
See, now, that's the thing. I think they're being properly coached to say, stay calm, don't blow up. If this was me, I just know my temper. I'd be like, this is defamation. I'd be like, I'm suing you, I'm suing you, I'm suing you. You know, as Sandy said, this is the old, so I hear you don't sleep with pigs. Is that true? In other words, do you sleep with pigs? And then just throw that smear out there. Okay, that's what this really is. Have you raped anybody? Have you sexually assaulted anybody? Have you committed a dirty sex crime? You sure? You positive? Okay, that's what this really is. Okay, did you have sex with a goat? You sure? No? You sure? Okay, that's what this is. But the amazing thing, then you're unfit to be in the cabinet. But if you're an illegal who comes into the country illegally and you rape an American woman or an American child or beat them or molest them, then that's okay. You can stay. You don't have to leave. So you see, you're unfit to serve in the cabinet, but you're not unfit to stay in the country. That's the liberal mind for you. And so I honestly want to ask you, okay, on top of everything else, a serious question. And if a liberal could call in and try to explain to me this tortured logic, I really want to hear from you. What is it with Democrats, progressives, that's what you want to call them? To me, these are Marxists and communists, but let that go. What is it with liberals and progressives and Democrats that they consistently put the interests and well-being, forget illegal aliens. I'm not talking about, a single mother with 2 kids and she's trying to work. I'm talking about stone-cold rapists, pedophiles, and wife abusers, wife beaters. Why do they put the interests of criminal illegal aliens above those of American citizens and American residents? Seriously, why? Can somebody explain this to me? Because I would love to hear it. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let's go to Sean in Iowa. Thanks for holding, Sean, and welcome.
Howdy, brother. How you doing today?
Very good, Sean. Can't wait for Big Daddy. Can't wait for Trump to be sworn in. Forgive me, and go right back to where he belongs, the big house, the White House. So we're just 48 hours away now, Sean.
Yeah, hey, about this bill, dude, I'll tell you what, I'm pissed off about it, really. I think it's worthless, and here's why. If you're an illegal alien, you come over here to our country, and you rape a baby, you get caught, you get deported, you get a free ticket home? Are you kidding me? That ain't no. Hell no. That's what makes us want to take the law into our own hands, because the law was not done. These guys, when they come over here and they commit a crime, they should go through our court system. They should go through our whatever. If you killed somebody, off them. I don't want them around anyway. I don't want them on the face of the earth. But if they commit a crime, they should have to do the time. And
no, they do. No, Sean. No. I guess I'm sorry. I didn't explain the bill. That's on me. Okay, that's not on you. That's on me. No, Sean. When they say detain and deport, they don't mean just grab the guy and then put him on a plane within 24 hours. What they mean is you detain them automatically. They're booked. They're charged. They're prosecuted. They spend time in jail. You throw the book at them, and then once you throw the book at them. Once they leave, they're deported. Now they're all, so in other words, no, it's not as if, hey, they just, the murderer of Laken Riley, here, let's just, as an example. Well, we're just going to put him on a plane and send him back to Venezuela. No. He's going to be arrested. He's going to be indicted. He's going to be prosecuted. He's going to be convicted. He's going to be imprisoned for whatever, 20, 25, 30 years. And then the second he walks out of jail, bye-bye, we deport his ass back to Venezuela. That's what they're saying. They're not saying, free ticket back to the old country. So I'm sorry if I didn't explain that clearly. No, what Democrats are saying is, hey, I don't even think they want him, frankly, convicted, if you want to know the truth, or charged. But what they're saying is, no, why should ICE get a hold of him? Why should they have to be deported? In other words, if they want to stay, they can stay. They don't have to go. They served their time. Why do they have to be deported? That, to me, that's what sticks in my craw. That's why Nancy Mace is thunderstruck. She goes, this should be unanimous. This should be 435-0. Instead, 145 Democrats, no. Let me throw this log on the fire. Okay, I mean, I have to ask. I don't want to go there, but we need to go there if we're going to be honest and truthful. 6:50 now on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare, baby. 617-266-6868. I mentioned that Pocahontas, okay, Granny Warren, Chief Fullable, voted no on the Laken Riley Act. That Malarkey, the ice cream guy, Ice Cream Ed, that he voted no on the Laken Riley Act, if you can believe it. And as I said, I'm willing to bet anybody. Please don't take up my bet because you're gonna kill me because I'm just gonna get, I'm gonna fatten up on steaks. Okay, I really should only be eating beef about once a week now because I'm telling you I'm gonna win this bet. They're gonna vote no on this bill that was passed in the House preventing violence against women and children by Illegal Aliens Act. So, Warren's going to vote no. Markey's going to vote no. Bernie is going to vote no. Mazie Hirono is going to vote no. And who knows, some other crazy moonbat senator. Even Chuck Schumer voted yes. Okay? Even Schumer realizes, no, you don't want to be on the opposite side of this issue. Only the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, only the People's Republic of Massachusetts have both senators voted no in defense of women, in defense of rape victims, in defense of children molested and abused and violated. What is it with this state? And I'm going to get into a couple of bombshell stories that the local media here are deliberately trying to suppress. Again, with these emergency shelters that we're paying for, whereby migrants, illegals that they have brought in, are committing sex crime after sex crime after sex crime against either minors or against children. What is wrong with this state when it comes to pedophilia and molesting and raping women? I don't understand what it is. There is a culture in this state, at a minimum, of neglect and indifference. And they pay no price. I'm telling you, Elizabeth Warren and Malarkey are going to pay no price. And yet, they all claim to be the biggest feminists. They all claim to be the biggest advocates of women's rights. They all claim to be the children. Look at DCF, for God's sake. The Department of Children and Families. Look how many scandals. What has been done to the children in this state going back decades. Systematically covered up. And nobody wants to expose or unmask it. And so let me throw this log on the fire, really. Why are so many in this state, liberals and Democrats, either deliberately turn a blind eye or, honestly, are so open in their defense of pedophiles and sexual predators? What the hell is wrong in Massachusetts? 617-266. What's wrong with the Democratic Party in general, but in Mass in particular? Is it the water? What is it? Because it's something. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. CJ in Boston. Thanks for holding, CJ, and welcome.
And thank you for taking the call, Jeff. As I always say, these are not Democrats or progressives or liberals. This is the Democratic Communist Party. Where was the mainstream media when the reports of this outgoing, so-called illegitimate president of the United States, Joe Biden, was taking showers with his 11-year-old daughter? Where was the mainstream media? You would have thought that would have been plastered all over everything. Here in Massachusetts, you had a judge, Judge Joseph, who let an illegal out the back door while ICE was waiting for this illegal to be detained. That's what happens in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We have a governor here that says Massachusetts isn't a sanctuary state. You give them housing, you give them free food, you'll do their laundry. You either do everything to wipe their backside, but we're not a sanctuary state. But you put us in the hole, $1.5 billion, you put us in the hole. If anyone in any common sense reelects Governor Healy, they need to see a psychiatrist. But you talk about confirmation hearings. Look at Pete Hegseth being interviewed or grilled by Richard Dick Denang Blumenthal of Connecticut, who was found guilty of stolen valor of 58,220 Vietnam veterans who laid their lives on the line. Here he is going after Pete Hegseth, who was an officer in the National Guard. He's questioning his credibility. This is what happens, Jeff, when you don't recognize who your enemies are. And the enemies of this country are clearly the Democratic Communist Party. And it's going to continue to go on until people of Massachusetts recognize these people that they're placing back in public office are their enemies. And if that's not the case, people got their bills yesterday on their tax increases in the city of Boston because they cannot afford to pay the bills after this newly elected mayor hired 300 people, many of them making over $100,000 a year. It needs to be an investigation. If there's any shortfalls, those are the first 300 people that need to walk out the door. People need to just bang their fists on the table and say, look, enough is enough. But the silver lining here is this. And for all those so-called liberal Democrats, the bills in Mattapan, the bills in Sudbury, the Chris's up in North Andover and Gloucester, and every one of you Democratic communist liberals, think about this. Think about Donald Trump being president of the next 4 years. Think about J.D. Vance being elected president and reelected for 8 years. Oh, DeSantis being elected for 4 years and another 4 years. That's the next 20 years. We have a good chance of looking forward to having presidents of the United States of America who believe in America, who believe in the principles of America, and will stand up for the principles of America. I have a few suggestions for Tom Homan, who's the incoming czar of the border czar. Number one, you take control on the civil forfeiture of all these hotels and motels that are harboring these illegals. Second, every nonprofit that are harboring these illegals, you take away their nonprofit status immediately. So before Governor Healy in the next year can shut down that Quality Inn in Revere, where that illegal was found with an AR-15 and more than 12 pounds of fentanyl, you go in there and you take over that hotel under civil forfeiture, which you can do. So, Jeff, I just don't know where to end here, but I can say this. If Biden or Harris thought they could win this election, well, they didn't. So you got 75 million people who voted for Donald J. Trump. All of a sudden, Jeff, we're no longer racists anymore or white supremacists anymore because they can't figure out how 75 million people, we got 75 million people in this country that are racist and sexist that voted in a man to become the next president of the United States. Finally, just let me say this on Donald J. Trump. That guy, Jack Smith, who tried to prosecute him down in Florida, all right? They need to tie him into the White House, along with the judge in New York, Egron. And what I would like to see done here is I would like to see them in charge and found criminally liable for trying to upset or interfere with this election. And I would like more than anything to see this judge in New York, Egron, who originally came from Colombia, to be deported back to Colombia, along with Omar of Minnesota. She needs to be deported for allegedly marrying her brother because there's no statute of limitations on violating immigration laws. We have come together here. 75 million people have come together here and say, this is our time. This is America's time. This is our time to take back our pride, our integrity, our economy. We are America, and it's time to
Amen. No, amen. Amen. Look, it's now or never. It really is. It's now or never. And what's now being exposed, what's now being revealed, is the utter depravity, really, how diabolical the Democrats truly now are. When you start lining up and voting no on these bills and others like it, you're telling us to our face, really, we don't care if rapists come in, we don't care if pedophiles come in, we don't care if child molesters come in, we don't care if wife beaters come in, we don't care. As long as you're an illegal alien and you're not an American, come on in. There's no crime that you can commit that we will deport you for. It's unbelievable. But that's what it is. That's what they're now exposing to themselves, to the country, and to the entire world. You know, after a while, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. CJ, thank you very much for that call. Just very quickly, CJ, I know you said 75 million. 77.6 million voted for Donald Trump. So basically, 78 if you want to round it up high. So 77.5 million voted for Donald Trump. Massive, massive mandate. He won decisively. He won the popular vote. He won the Electoral College. And he won every single swing state. If Donald Trump doesn't have a mandate, no one has a mandate. 617-266-6868. Arthur on Chestnut Hill. Thanks for holding, Arthur, and welcome.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, deporting these people doesn't work, all right? And because how many times have we found people getting murdered by people who have been deported 7 times, and they keep coming back and keep coming back because we've always had a porous border, and you can always get into this country. And we've known that this has been an invasion. What we need is tougher laws. If this is an invasion, these are people who come in here, they commit a crime, but the first crime they commit is coming in here illegally, but then they go on to commit a second crime. And when they don't get convicted of that crime, they're let out into the street to commit another crime until they finally commit a heinous crime. And that's the one we caught them for. Okay? How about the ones we didn't catch them for? And believe me, when you have criminals, they've committed other crimes besides the ones that they get caught for. And these gangs who are terrorizing apartment buildings, these Venezuelan gangs, we have them on videotape, and yet they're still walking around. What is it? I don't understand. Well, what's going on in this country, except the fact that what we've witnessed is the laws have been made for the criminals. Okay, the parole and bail laws in New York are insane. They caught a guy in California, an illegal, a migrant with a blowtorch, in the area where they had fires, and within hours he was let go. Is there something wrong with us that we allow this to happen? And by the way, if you wonder about why they vote against these pedophile bills, because a lot of them are pedophiles themselves. I remember when we had a member of the House of Representatives, Gary Studs, who was a pedophile, found guilty of being a pedophile, and yet they kept voting him back in. So nobody takes it seriously. And I'm wondering, with the 200,000 or 300,000 young children who have been trafficked, maybe these are the people who know where they are, since they don't want to do anything about it. And if you don't want to do anything about it, then you're complicit with the crime of cover-up. We are not taking this serious. And by the way, Trump is becoming the most popular president ever in the history of this country. And that should concern us, because those are the ones that always have assassination attempts. He's already had one. Kennedy was very popular, and at the peak of his popularity, he was assassinated. Reagan was extremely popular, and there was an attempt at his life. I don't want, and I'm very concerned for this weekend, because this is the toughest job the Secret Service has. And I don't want him getting out of the limo to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, especially at 10-degree weather. I'm very, very concerned for the safety of our president this weekend.
I agree. Arthur, I want to thank you for your courage, because you're saying what a lot of people are thinking. I'm very worried about his safety and security. Look, you can see how the Democrats hate him, how much they fear him, how they're fear-mongering. 2 assassination attempts, one in Butler, the other one at the golf course in Florida. I've never seen anything like it. And man, do they hate him. I mean, they really, really hate him. They hate us. They hate the country. But man, do they hate him. So my advice to the president is watch your back. Be very, very careful. And we got to get him sworn in. And then he'll have a ton of Secret Service protection, and hopefully he'll have a very successful 4 years. Arthur, thank you very much for that call. But no, I am worried. I'm very worried. Look, the Democrats now are out for blood. There's no question. 617-266-6868. Chris in Virginia. Thanks for holding, Chris, and welcome.
Thank you for taking my call, and good morning.
Good morning, Chris.
Look, the first caller addressed what I was thinking, and you cleared it up for me, and I appreciate that. But there's something else we can do. Since we can have these people in jail, the country they came from, we should have that country pay for their pay for their keeping them in jail.
Yes.
Like Venezuela should pay for that guy to stay in jail. They should pay
That's
for
right.
it. If he can't,
his incarceration. No, I agree. Yeah, his incarceration. The cost of his incarceration should be borne by the country that he came from, not by you and me. Chris, you're completely right, Chris.
Pay, we execute him. I know that sounds harsh, but we should do something about that. Thank you for taking my call, sir.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. Very good point. No, look, it's time for law and order. Enough is enough. Again, so I just want to go back. I just think about this for a second, okay? Just think about this. The bill says, this is what the bill says. If someone from another country, I'll just say Mexico to make it simple, somebody from Mexico, convicted in Mexico of sexual assault, rape, molesting a child, domestic violence, is caught coming into the country, again, these are illegals, that they should be detained and deported immediately. Yeah, what, do we want these kind of people in our country? No. If an illegal comes into our country and then rapes a woman or rapes a child or molests an underage girl, or, beats his wife or beats his girlfriend or whatever it is, then that person should be detained, go to jail, obviously, and then when they finish their jail term, deport their ass back to where they came from. Now, to me, I'm like, yeah, what's the debate? Like, okay, we don't have laws on this on the books already? Well, because this is, to me, a no-brainer. It's automatic. Nancy Mace, to her credit, really thought, look, this is going to be 435-0. 145 Democrats voted no. They are literally now putting the interests of criminal illegal aliens, violent criminal, pro-rape, I'm serious, pro-rape, pro-pedophile, criminal illegal aliens above American citizens, above Americans. Now, if that's not depraved and disgusting, honestly, I don't know what is. And that's why when she walked, she made a 2-minute speech. It was a barn burner of a speech. And she walked away and said, "You are going to rue the day." Like, I can't believe you're voting no. So you're literally putting rapists and pedophiles who are illegal aliens above those of Americans? No, we don't detain them. No, we don't arrest them. No, we don't deport them once they're done with their sentence. No, we don't do that. We keep them. That's the kind of people we want in our country. You're sick. You're sick. There's something sick. 617-266-6868. And look, I'm going to go there because Arthur in Chestnut Hill had the guts to open the door. We have a pedophile problem in our country, and especially among our elites. Whether it be in our corporate elites, Jeffrey Epstein, Exhibit A, whether it be among our media elites, and whether it be among our politicians, because something doesn't compute. I've never, and in Massachusetts, in part, I am telling you, whether it was the sex abuse scandal under the Catholic Church, Massachusetts ground zero, whether it's the dysfunctional Department of Children and Families, where children are being abused, sexually abused, it's systemic. Massachusetts is ground zero. How is it? It's no coincidence that the only state, look, California, they're crazy, yes, but one of their senators voted in favor of the Laken Riley Act. One of their senators is going to vote in favor of this Preventing Violence Against Women and Children by Illegal Aliens Act that Nancy Mace's bravely sponsored. What I'm saying is, you know, even Vermont, the other senator, is going to vote in favor. Bernie's nuts, but that's one. It's not two. The only state that both senators openly coddle rapists, pedophiles, and child molesters is Massachusetts. Now, something is wrong, man. And I'm sorry, but I think it's time that the media be investigated because they're protecting these politicians. And I think their personal lives now need to be looked into because something is rotten here. 719 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. CJ in Boston alluded to this about maybe 20 minutes ago. Huge story, which ironically is getting a ton more play in the national media outside of Boston or Massachusetts. It's getting a lot of play across the country, but not here. The local media, with a few exceptions, are deliberately trying to sweep this story under the rug. Why? Because it makes the entire political system in this state guilty, led by Holden Healy, this corrupt moonbat governor. But it goes to Elizabeth Warren, it goes to Ed Markey, it goes to the entire congressional delegation. It goes to the corrupt Democrat state legislature up on Beacon Hill, or Bacon Hill, as I like to call it. So, listen now to this. Okay, this shows you how out of control this state is when it comes to illegals and criminal illegals that are pouring in. An illegal migrant from the Dominican Republic was caught, listen to this, at a hotel, a Quality Inn in Revere. And we have a big national audience, so many are going to say, Jeff, what the hell is Revere? Revere is a city just north of Boston. Okay, so basically in the greater Boston area. He was in a Quality Inn, taxpayer-funded, part of Maura Healey's emergency shelter system, in which literally countless illegals have poured in. They are now flooding the entire migrant shelter system. There is no room for homeless veterans, homeless residents of Massachusetts, homeless American citizens in Massachusetts. It's been completely taken over by these illegals and the so-called migrants. Now, we are paying. This is a taxpayer-funded emergency shelter. So this person is living on our dime, literally on the taxpayer's dime. And we're paying for his room, for his food, for the laundry, for the dry cleaning, for room service. You name it. I'm not kidding. Everything paid for by us. He's 28 years old. His name is Leonardo Andujar Sanchez. He was arrested on December 28th, as I said, in Revere, just outside of Boston, in possession of an illegal AR-15 rifle and over 10 pounds of fentanyl. Up to $1 million in illegal drugs. $1 million. Most of it fentanyl, but they found heroin, they found cocaine, and no, he's not Hunter Biden. You may be saying, Jeff, maybe it's all going up his nose or in his arm. No, he's not Hunter. They found all kinds of latex gloves and scales, and he's a drug dealer. He may be using. I'm not saying he's not using. But clearly, he was a drug dealer. You know what 10 pounds of fentanyl is? Do you know how many people this can kill? How many children this can kill? How many students, how many teenagers and young people this can kill? And they brought him into our state, Maura Healey did, and placed him in the immigrant shelter, in the emergency services shelter system? Paid for, taxpayer, again, by you and me? They couldn't believe when the Revere Police Department, by the way, the only reason why they found out, I think he was like hitting his girlfriend or abusing his girlfriend, because his own girlfriend was the one who snitched and called the Revere Police Department. And she said he's got a stash of guns, he's got a massive stash of drugs, and he's dealing. And people are dying because of him. He's got a ton of fentanyl. We're talking over $1 million worth of drugs and a small mini arsenal. So he was charged in Chelsea District Court, 10 counts of illegal possession of a firearm, 1 count on the 10 pounds of fentanyl that they found in his hotel room, and they also then charged him with intent to distribute the drugs. Now, here's the kicker. All of you, okay, you need to hear this. Sanchez, this illegal alien scumbag, this drug dealer, he's a gangbanger, has been living in that hotel, government-sponsored, taxpayer-funded shelter since October 15. For months. Brought in under Maura Healey. And now, this is what everybody is coming out and finally saying. This is just the tip of the iceberg. That there are massive criminals and criminal activities taking place in all of these shelters, hotels, motels, across the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Women are being raped. It's been documented. Children have been abused and molested. It's been documented. Underage girls have been sexually assaulted. It's been documented. Murders, beatings, drug dealing, alcohol, parties and alcoholism and fights breaking out. And so what's happening is that under Massachusetts' unique right to shelter law, which, by the way, was intended for American citizens. It was never intended to provide automatic taxpayer shelter to anybody who came into our country, especially those who broke our laws and are here illegally. But let that go. Massachusetts, as I've been predicting for years, has now become a massive magnet for migrants and illegals all over the world. Now, listen to this. According to Republican State Senator Ryan Fatman, he has someone, a constituent, a mother of two, whose house burned down in his district. She cannot get access to a shelter because the illegals have taken over everything. 7:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me just put an exclamation point on what I was saying before the break, and then I want to go right back to the blazing phone lines. 617-266-6868. So, there's a 28-year-old illegal alien, a migrant, as they call him, from Dominican Republic. Sanchez is his last name. Caught with over about a million, just over $1 million in drugs at a Quality Inn in Revere that we're paying for. By the way, 3 square meals a day. I'm not kidding. They even do his room for him. He gets room service. And his suits dry clean twice a week. We pay for that. And the meals are catered. Just want everybody to know that. $64 a day in catered meals. So, we take care of him very good. Months and months now, he's been there. Dealing drugs. He's stashing guns. His girlfriend finally turns him in. She calls the police. That's the only way we found him. That's the only reason why we know he's there and he was arrested. Anyway, State Senator Ryan Fatman, never met him, don't know him, pointed out, and I think he's completely correct. He goes, here, I have a constituent, single mother, 2 young kids. Her house just burned down. It's gone. The insurance, they got to go through the claims. She's out on the street. She has nowhere to go. She is homeless. And she can't get a room in the emergency shelter system. Here is an American citizen, a Massachusetts lawful resident, who her children, her 2 young kids, and her are out on the street homeless because Maura Healey has prioritized the migrants and illegal aliens over Americans. And to add insult to injury, this poor woman finally found, I believe, a hotel room or a motel room, and she's got to pay out of her own pocket. No taxpayer funding for her. Out of the insurance money that she's getting to rebuild her house. So she's got to pay out of her own pocket to live in a motel, a Comfort Inn, or wherever she's living, until her house is properly rebuilt. But this scumbag, underneath our nose, is dealing fentanyl, which is a killer. It's lethal. Making money hands over fist with guns. He's a gangbanger. He's clearly gang affiliated. And tax free? Completely free? On our dime? We pay for him? Completely? Everything? And this is what the liberals call fair? And they wonder why our state is being inundated with illegals? Now, it's not just this guy Sanchez. Here, let me give you another example. In March, this was in Rockland, Massachusetts. This time it was a Haitian migrant, Corey Bernard Alvarez. And they got him at a migrant shelter. And he was charged with raping a child. A child. And Maura Healey and the politicians in this state, again, deliberately turned a blind eye. We're talking now child rape. And even though this guy is now accused and charged with raping a child, the Plymouth County Superior Court refused to honor the ICE detainer. ICE said, we want him. He's an illegal. Hand them over to us. No, 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 no. And they released this alleged child rapist back into the community. They released him from custody. This is Massachusetts. These are deep blue states. This is what they do in California, in New York, in Connecticut, in Rhode Island, in Illinois. This is what they would do nationally if Kamala Harris had won. By the grace of God, Trump won. And so it all comes back full circle. You saw it in the vote on the Laken Riley Act. You saw it in the vote yesterday morning on Nancy Mace's bill to protect women and children from violence from illegal aliens. Why is it that Democrats and liberals continue to put the interests and well-being, not just of illegal aliens, criminal, violent, rapists and pedophiles, criminal illegal aliens, above those of Americans? There is something truly sick, satanic, and diabolical in the Democratic Party. Something truly evil is afoot. Am I wrong? And what is it? What is it with this fascination that Democrats have with coddling and protecting the worst criminals among us? Those that prey on women and children. 617-266-6868 is the number. Lines are loaded. Matthew in Salem. Thanks for holding, Matthew, and welcome.
Jeff, first,
Hi,
my
Matthew.
deepest condolences on the loss of your father.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Matthew.
Based on who you are, it's obvious how old school and how old world your dad was. Big, big loss.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, he was. He was old school, and he definitely was old world. You pegged him beautifully. Thank you for that, Matthew.
Jeff, since the vote on the Laken Riley Act, I emailed Warren and Markey's office twice. I wasn't disrespectful. I wasn't obnoxious. I wrote a very simple email. Can you explain why you voted no on the Laken Riley Act? Nothing. Crickets. I'm going to keep emailing, even though I doubt I'll get a reply. But beyond my anger at their vote and lack of response and representation, what's maddening is what you've been talking about, this enigma. Who keeps voting for these people? That's all I got, but...
Matthew, if you don't mind, if I'm getting too personal, please tell me. I promise I won't be offended. What's your theory? Honestly, what's your theory? I understand you don't have a smoking gun. You don't have, a piece of paper that, or a picture or a photo. But just look, you're obviously a very intelligent man. You're obviously a well-read man. You're a patriot. You have a sense of civic duty. You know what's going on in this country. Why do you think Warren voted no and Markey voted no? And overall, why do you think Democrats like Markey and Warren? I could list many others. Bernie Sanders is another. Mazie Hirono is another. I could go on and on. Why do they keep shielding, protecting, and coddling? We're not just talking illegals. Literally, sexual predators and child molesters. What is it, Matthew, that drives them to take such a perverse, disgusting position?
I don't have an answer. Like I said, it's an enigma. It's just beyond. It's so maddening and so befuddling. I can't think beyond. Why would they put citizens last and those people first? I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Matthew, I don't know if you saw the latest poll. I know it's slightly a little bit off topic, but it goes right to your point about who votes these people in, who keeps voting for them. See that, in a sense, I can maybe understand these sleazy, sick politicians. Someone's buying them off. Maybe they have certain sexual proclivities and perversions regarding children. That doesn't surprise me, to be honest. Whatever. They're on the take. Okay, fine. I get that. But it's the Bills in Sudbury. It's the Chris's in Gloucester. It's the Franks in Gloucester. It's the Benz in North Andover. It's the liberal voting public in Massachusetts. And I know not everyone in Massachusetts is a liberal. There are many conservatives. But still, a majority of them are, crazy left-wingers. They're moonbats. Why do these moonbats keep voting for such depraved politicians? And they say, well, I'm a Democrat. Fine, back a primary challenger, for God's sake. I mean, Seth Moulton, not that I'm a big fan of his, but, even Moulton is slightly better. I mean, Moulton doesn't go out of his way and say, yeah, rapists, yeah. Oh, you diddle kids? Yeah. That's the kind of person I want here. In other words, they could get people who aren't so disgusting and extreme, but they don't. In California, over half of the voters say they refuse to blame Karen Bass, that Marxist mayor of Los Angeles, for the disaster of the California wildfires. There's no water in the fire hydrants. They don't care. She cut the fire department budget. Doesn't care. Literally hired blatantly incompetent people. Doesn't care. Was in Africa as the city was burning. They don't care. That, to me, is what's truly scary. Your reaction next. 7:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I know I keep saying it over and over and over, but it's true. Best audience in the business. Before I go to Betty and Quincy, this is from Marianne on Messenger, and I think she hit the nail right on the head. Right on the head. Jeff, the answer to your question is actually very simple. Democrats love illegal aliens and will support and protect them because eventually they become Democrat voters. And the more of these people they allow into the country, the better odds the Democrats have of winning and gaining control of America at some point in time. It is their ultimate goal. They work slowly, in agreement, just like the Muslims do. They're very methodical for their ultimate outcome that they want. The issue that now comes into play is that the Muslims also want control of the world. But it's very simple. More illegals equal more Democratic voters down the road, which equals Democratic control as their ultimate end game. And we know they all want a new one world order. Now, that's for the politicians. Their constituents, the Bills in Sudbury, the Franks in Gloucester, are just plain stupid. They just follow the liberals because the liberals try to make them believe that they are the party of love and tolerance. And that's the gist of it. I think she absolutely nailed it. And they don't care. Really, they're so obsessed with political power. Who they rape, who they murder, who they molest, what child's life gets destroyed. They don't care. That's really what you're now seeing. Just keep flooding the country, and by extension, this state, Massachusetts, but the entire country, with more and more illegals, even if they're criminal, violent illegals. Agree, disagree, and that's why they hate Trump. That's why the number one issue for them is that Trump is going to secure that border, stop this invasion, and start mass deportations. Because now they realize someone is actively working to stop them from achieving their goal. And that's why they want to destroy him at all costs. Betty in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Betty, and welcome.
Jeff, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Betty?
Good, good. So sorry to hear about your dad.
Thank you.
My condolences. I definitely agree with the last caller, or you just read her text. I definitely do. But at what point? I mean, this is so disturbing and disgusting. And I just want somebody to have Marky in Pocahontas there, like right there, asking the question, why? And they should have to answer it. I mean, it really is sick and twisted. I mean, I feel like, just like they stole it from Trump, I think that Massachusetts just slides them in. Honestly, because I don't know, even my Democrat friends, I mean, who would vote for this? Who would vote against the Laken Riley Act?
Betty, just on you're completely right. Completely right. I know you're on your way to the inauguration on Monday. You're on the road. I've got to ask you, Betty, a lot of Democrats are now saying they're not going to show up. Michelle Obama says she's not going to show up at Trump's inauguration. Nancy Pelosi has now come out and said she's not showing up at Trump's inauguration. Many prominent Democrats are saying, blank him, to hell with him, we're not showing up. Now, to be honest, I don't care. To me, this is addition by subtraction. They don't want to be there, great. I think it'll make the event even better. Who needs them? But my fear is for the president's safety. And as someone texted me maybe half an hour ago, Jeff, what do they know that we don't? Maybe it's not just disgust at Trump, or they're pulling a temper tantrum and they're being like little children. Maybe they know something we don't. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying that question is being asked. I'm worried about Trump's safety. I'm worried about the safety of his inauguration. Are you, Ginger Betty?
Jeff, they've just been like, they're pulling out all the stops. I don't know. I wouldn't put anything past them, but I have to believe the power of prayer, the power of God, and this needs to happen. And, he's got security. I'm sure he's got everybody on it. I think it's going to be a much better day without them there, the Democrats for sure. This is meant to happen, and we can't not go because we think they're going to, pull something. They're going to do it anyways, whatever, evil they want to put upon us. But, I'm just so happy to go there, to be there, be a part of history. Trump is just amazing, and he is. They're so mad. They're so evil. They're so miserable. It's like you just laugh. You look at who's laughing. I mean, God bless him. Trump is still laughing. He said, all the nasty things, the dark things I've seen, but you still have to find some light. I think we have to find the light. We all have to come together. And, this is their worst nightmare coming true. I think it's going to be an amazing time. Everybody's going to go celebrate Trump, celebrate the United States of America, and we're going to turn things around. And now all these illegals coming in, look, the tide's going to turn. They don't want to be with the losing team, and the Democrats are losing, and they're so MAD furious. I think it's going to be great.
Betty, thank you very much, and please stay safe. Monday, give us a call, Betty, and give us an update on the ground, okay? Will you do that for us? Thank you. Thank you very much, Betty. And again, safe travels. 617-266-6868 is the number. Well, look, it's going to be the birth of a new era. To me, it's going to be the rebirth of America. That's what we're going to witness Monday at high noon when Trump is sworn in. Apparently, Chief Justice John Roberts will be the one administering the oath to President Donald Trump, or President-elect, then President Donald Trump. And J.D. Vance, it will be Brett Kavanaugh. So I'm looking forward to it. And you're right, liberal heads are going to be exploding around the entire country. But it doesn't matter. They're losers. And Trump has now vowed, beginning within the first minute, executive orders are going to be flying out. He's going to be signing bills. They're going to start massive deportations. They're going to start kicking many of these violent criminal illegals out. And that border is going to finally be secured. Amen, brother. 617-266-6868. Mike, who do you want me to go to next, Mike? I don't want to rush you, Mike. I mean, we're just a live show, Mike, with, millions of people listening, but that's okay, Mike. Linda in Medford. Thanks for holding, Linda, and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call. I kind of want to do a spin-off on the interpretation of all that's going on. One, I tend to see the Democrats as being lost in a time zone. Their glory days were the 1970s, and they've just never grown up. But the other thing is, with all that's going on in California, not only the celebrities are coming out, but people in the streets are coming out. They told people to evacuate, but they didn't have any cops to help with the traffic. They ended up abandoning their cars. They spent $3 billion on 93 electric vehicles. And 35% cut to fire. It just goes on and on like that. And I think that California, this may be the turnaround.
This could be the turning point. No, Linda, I agree with you. And I think not just in California, but around the country. I mean, this is blatant misgovernance. This is blatant negligence. And this is almost incredible, mind-numbing incompetence. And by the way, just to add to everything what you're saying, over 100 fire trucks are in need of repair. That's how they mismanaged everything. So you've got these historic fires where they need every truck they can find, every hose, every firefighter. But they've got 100 fire trucks sitting in a garage because they cut so much money out of the fire budget to give to the illegals that they didn't have these trucks available when they needed them to fight all these fires. I mean, you can't make this up. So, look, Biden is out, Kamala is out, and God willing, soon, Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom will be out. Thank you very much for that call, Linda. 617-266-6868. Okay, 8 o'clock, you know what that means. Caller of the week, Kuhner's Call Log.
It's time for Kuhner's Call Log, where we showcase our favorite caller from the week.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Thanks for holding, John.
I have quick points. Newsom, the California governor, pays $242,000 a year. That's the governor's salary. He just bought a $9.1 million house. How do you do that on $242,000 salary? For two, they got a reservoir. It's right there in Pacific Palisades. It can hold 117 million gallons. It was empty. What do you think the fires are doing for the pollution in California right now? Well, you'd think they'd waive emissions testing for anybody coming in. Well, Oregon sent 60 fire trucks. They stopped them in San Francisco to do emissions testing on the 60 fire trucks. And here, listen to this. I'm going to finish with this point. California is the only western state that doesn't collect their rainwater. And my brother told me that the smelt is an invasive creature. It's not even native to California. Are your eyes and ears bleeding yet?
And next week, it could be you on Kuhner's Call Log.
Please, don't be a stranger. Call again. I mean, I got to say, that was a great call, great points, and just very funny in the way he delivered it. You know, are your eyes and ears bleeding yet? Yes. Yes, they are. Again, best audience in the business. 617-266-6868 is the number. Heather in Rockland. Thanks for holding, Heather, and welcome.
Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure, Heather.
Monday cannot come soon enough, I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah.
I I cannot wait. But actually, I have a comment about a previous caller. I forget his name, but he brought up a really good point about the illegals. You know how when the government catches drug rings and they do asset forfeitures against all these big drug rings when they catch the people in crimes and stuff. Can they do that to the people that have been like you said, he kind of mentioned it, harboring the illegals, the Comfort Inn in Rockland, or whatever that place is in Rockland that's holding all the illegals, and the place in Revere. Can they end up doing that? Or can Trump have some sort of law for that? That would be a good way of.
Look, what they're doing is, what they're doing, Heather. It turns your stomach. It's unethical. To me, it's clearly unethical and immoral, but it is legal because these are government contracts. So the state goes to them and says, we want basically no vacancy. We don't want you to be open to the public. Okay. We're going to pay you for every room, and we're going to pay you top dollar. In fact, they usually pay more than, let's say, what you and I would pay for a room. And they say, and you're going to house X amount of migrants. So what they're doing is they're kind of waving a carrot, money. They're just waving check after check in front of them and saying, you'll be full, get paid top dollar, and, it's for 6 months or it's for a year or whatever. So, and they take the money. Now, to me, I think you're a traitor. I'll be honest with you. Okay. To me, I would never do that if I was the owner of a business. I understand look, you're in business to make money. I get it, of course, but not at the expense of selling your soul, or not at the expense of selling your country down the river. So a lot of these hotels and motels do very well. It's not like they're starving for money, but this is just too much money for them to turn down. And so they take the government contract. So it's a legal government contract. So it's very hard now for Trump retroactively to come back and say, oh, we're going to close you down or we're going to seize your assets. No judge worth his or her salt is going to say yes to that. They're going to say, well, I'm sorry. There's a binding contract. Massachusetts, the governor approached them. They said yes. Comfort Inn or Quality Inn, take your pick, upheld their end. The government upheld their end. And you don't like the policy, change the policy. So what Trump is going to do, that I know for sure, is part of the legislation they're going to pass is no more emergency shelters for illegals. Emergency shelter. And look, I'm a limited government, small government conservative, but I'm also an American, and I'm also a nationalist and a patriot and a populist. That woman who, just as an example, in State Senator Fatman's district, who lost her home in a fire and is now out on the street, I don't want her to be out on the street with 2 young kids. So, if we have to help our poor or our desperate, or by the grace of God, there go I, to me, you help our people out. That's what the emergency shelter system is there for. But it's for family, i.e. the American family. It's for our fellow citizens. It's not for the world. It's not for strangers. And it's certainly not for illegals and criminals. That, to me, is what I find so offensive. And I'm sorry, Heather, I don't want to, I give you the final word, but this is the bone in my throat, as Khrushchev famously said. How many stories I've heard of veterans who have come back from Iraq, from Afghanistan, from being deployed overseas, and many of them maimed, injured, severe PTSD, mental health issues. This is not through any fault of their own. And they're sleeping on it's freezing cold outside. I went out for a quick walk this morning before the show. I nearly froze my rear end off. And I'm thinking, and some of these vets are sleeping in a cardboard box outside? Many of them, I'm not kidding, 100 feet away from the mayor's office in Boston, as an example. But this scumbag Dominican Republic illegal alien drug dealer is, now they arrested him, but for months he's been sitting, sleeping in a heated hotel room with three square catered meals a day, dry cleaning, laundry done, room service. They gave him cash. On top of the drugs he's selling, he got cash from us. So he can go out and a little bit of spending money, prepaid Visa cards. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's wrong. And that a liberal can't see that? There's something wrong with you in the head. So, to me, I'm sorry, a homeless veteran, we take care of them. Our poor, we take care of them. Our elderly, many of whom need help, especially in the wintertime, we take care of them. That's what we do. We're Americans. We take care of each other. So I'm happy to pay taxes, and I'm happy to pay taxes to help the poor, the unfortunate, those that, the vulnerable and the needy. But we're not here to take care of the world. A, we can't. We're going to go bankrupt. We're literally going to lose everything. But B, as a moral philosophical principle, I truly believe this. Charity starts at home. When I hear of these, ridiculous celebrities, final point, because I want to go back to you, Heather, and this happens all the time, where they're cutting $100,000 here and a $200,000 check there. But then you hear Rosie O'Donnell, okay? But her daughter is an addict who's homeless and is living on the streets, and she's lecturing us that Trump is evil and who to vote for. If my daughter, God forbid, was a drug addict and out on the street, I would move heaven and earth to try to save her, get her to rehab, get a roof over her head. That's my daughter. That's my son. So, to me, before you try to save the world, and before your heart bleeds for people you know nothing of, who are criminals and who came into this country illegally, why don't we take care of our own poor? Why don't we take care of our own nation's sons and daughters? And that, to me, is the most disgusting thing of all. We abandon our own for strangers. Final word to you, Heather.
Yeah, so the question that's what I ask myself all the time when I see these crazy liberals voting for this and thinking it's okay to basically, I understand, and I'm with you. You take care of your own. You take care, people in hard times. But especially the veterans, they should come first of all, people. But
Heather, you're completely right. No, the liberals, this is what I mean. And the worst thing about it is they think they're superior. I'm not kidding. They virtue signal. They pat themselves on the back. They call us the racists. 820 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Lines are jammed. Rocco on the North Shore. Thanks for holding, Rocco, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff. Living in this state is really like living in an episode of The Twilight Zone, except it never write anything that crazy that our own government would put illegals and criminals above us. It would just never happen. And I've got a great satire for you, but before I get to it, I just want to make a serious point. I understand there's no way to do a recall on Maura Healey. They've written it into the charter. So I was thinking there's got to be some way to shame them. How about making a petition to change the name of the state to like the state of insanity, the state of stupidity, the state of depravity, the rapist state, or my favorite, Healy's hellhole. I know it would never go through, but just putting it out there would get it there, get the message out.
I like Healy's hellhole. I like that one, Rocco. That one, I could get behind that one. Rocco, go ahead, my friend. I know you're itching to do your imitation. Go ahead, buddy.
JFK, you have said on your show JFK would never go along with this woke stuff. So this is what JFK would sound like if he was woke. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask how your country can pay the dry cleaning bill for Trendeawagua. Imagine being on your way to a gang fight or a rape and not having a clean shed. We will provide. Also, by the end of the decade, we will be the first country to put a transgender cross-dresser illegal on the planet Mars, and he or she will be issued an absentee ballot.
Rocco, you do have a really unique and rare gift, my friend. Absolutely hilarious. Rocco, thank you very much for that call. Man, he did JFK, a woke JFK too, to a T, absolute T. 617-266-6868. Put a transgender cross-dresser on Mars by the end of the decade. 617-266-6868. Harry in Chelmsford. Thanks for holding, Harry, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Hey, I'm sorry about your dad. You know, I've lost my parents too. And I'm sorry to hear about that gal that lost her house. But, you know, I got to say this. Picture her 5 years ago. The system's the same. They don't step out of their way to help people that are destitute. They just don't. I'm sorry. That's not how it is. I know family members who have lost everything, and no one stepped up and helped them. And you know who it was? It was me. I lost everything I owned in a fire. I got no help from nobody. So the state's been like that for a long time. And I was living in New Hampshire when that happened, and it happens everywhere. You got to take care of yourself. I'm sorry. That's just how this sick world is. And as far as all this stuff going on about these immigrants, I got to tell you this, and let me get this out. Everybody's getting this wrong, and it's terrible that all these criminals and rapists and killers and gangbangers are getting in our country. That's terrible. But it's not about that. They don't see it like that. They see them as a number on a list. They get the number that comes in, they check it. They don't care who he is. They let him in, and then they get another number on their list, because the bigger the list goes, all these sanctuary cities get what? Federal money. The federal money gets funneled down through all the channels. Like, and you said one of them, these hotels, they get approached. Here's a bunch of money, bunch of checks for all these rooms. Don't give them out to anybody else but these people. That's how it is. When you take morality and throw it out the window and put money there instead, it makes people do incredibly sick things, like not care about morality. And once you do that, it's all about money. And that's all this is. It's about money. It comes down from the top, and it gets funneled down to everybody. Everybody that works for these government agencies has to show they have things that they got to prove that they're doing with the money that's correct. So they got to be doing their work. So they get their rents paid because they're doing government work. They get their electricity paid for, their gas. They get nice vehicles. They can clothe their children. They can eat in extravagant restaurants day, noon, and night on our money because they get it because it's a federal-funded program for the immigrants to come into these immigrants' sanctuary states and cities that's funded. It's all about money, Jeff. And if
you nailed it. Harry, you nailed it. Harry, I got to ask you, because you're on fire. One of the things that Trump and Holman vow that they're going to do, and they will do it, take it to the bank, is they're now going to go, I'm just going to use Healy as an example, but they're going to go to Newsom in California. They're going to go to Karen Bass in L.A. They're going to go to Pritzker in Illinois. They're going to go to, Hochul in New York. But they're going to go to Healy in Mass, and they're going to go to Michelle Wu in Boston. And they're going to say, you continue to have a sanctuary state or a sanctuary city. No federal aid whatsoever. We're going to cut off the federal money. No more sugar daddy from the federal government. Nothing for education, nothing for health care, nothing for law enforcement, nothing for the roads, nothing for the bridges, nothing. Harry, even though this will hurt all of us if they do it, are you in favor of it?
Absolutely.
I'm with you.
Absolutely.
I'm with you. I think it's high time. And believe me, I think once they cut off the federal money, even for 24 hours, once they even threaten to cut off the federal money, you're going to watch. They're going to do a 180 so fast, Harry, your head, my head is going to spin. 8:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me ask you. It is the Kuhner Country poll question. Forgive me. It is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Should any state refuse to follow federal immigration law, should they lose all federal funding? Especially now with Trump, 72 hours away from being inaugurated Monday at high noon. He now has said one of his top priorities, it's not just to secure the border, it's not just to start mass deportations of criminal illegal aliens, but he says they're going to make sanctuary states like California, like New York, like Massachusetts, like Connecticut, like Illinois, they're going to pay. Sanctuary cities are going to pay. If you're a sanctuary city or a sanctuary state, you're going to lose all federal funding. Should they lose all federal funding? A, yes. B, no. You know where I stand. I spoke about it with Harry, the previous caller. I am an A all the way. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want it to happen. I don't want to see, for example, my state, Massachusetts. I want to see federal money come. I want money for schools. I want money for the roads, for hospitals, for police, for firefighters, for everything that, basic social services. But if that's what it's going to take for them to stop appeasing and coddling and supporting rapists, murderers, child molesters, criminals, gangbangers, drug dealers, if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. So I'm an A. I'm a yes, but that's me. I want to hear from you. Trump says he's going to do it. Do you support it? Should this happen? Do you want Trump to cut federal funding to sanctuary states and sanctuary cities, even though it will hurt all of us? Agree, disagree? You can vote on our webpage, WRKO.com/Kuhner, WRKO.com/Kuhner, KUHN is in national ER. You can also vote via X, my handle there, all one word, at the Kuhner Report. And again, it's KUHN is in national ER. Lines are loaded. John in Dunstable. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Thanks for taking my call, and I'm awful sorry about Dad, and Happy New Year.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Okay, Jeff. This is what you call the destruction of America. Just think about it, Jeff. They fill the country with illegals, which is a federal crime, and they're saying they're not going to release them to homes. The fires are burning. You got a governor with a smug look on his face, acting like it's nothing, Jeff, with the incompetence. I think it's deliberate, Jeff. How can you not have water and hydrants? And let's get to the drones, Jeff. Right in Andover, Jeff, a friend of mine has some thoroughbred horses in Andover that he races. And his brother's wife called the police because they seen the drones. This is recently, Jeff. within the last week. The drones were flying. The police thought they were crazy. So the police came, the Andover police came, filmed them, and they're huge, Jeff. He says they're as big as like Volkswagens. And, he's asking me, what do you think's going on? What do you think's going on? I says, well, the only thing I can see, Tommy, is it's got to be Raytheon. What's Raytheon do? Raytheon makes a lot of military supplies for our government because he's right next to Raytheon. What, Jeff? This is it's not getting better, Jeff. It's getting worse. And if I don't know, President Trump's getting in, and I'm 1,000% for him. Get rid of these communists, Jeff. But is there just too much damage done? I don't know, Jeff. I mean, I don't know what the heck is going on, but nothing good is coming out of this, Jeff. And President Trump's got to realize that our military's been purged, Jeff. And which I have no idea what's in there now. I know a few people that are still in, but I don't know what the heck is going to happen, Jeff. We don't have the strength we had 10 years ago. Imagine, Jeff, if it's not over money. It's over destruction. This is over. Harry's always had some good topics, but I think he's wrong. I think it's over destruction. They're trying to destroy this country. That is what they're doing, Jeff. They're trying to destroy it.
Well, look,
what do you think?
Well, John, look, I'm going to be brutally honest with you, like I'm in the confessional, okay? Like I'm in my living room with my wife and my children. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I told Grace, Ashton, and Ava, in fact, last night over dinner. I think Trump, and people are going to think I'm crazy, but I'm telling you what I truly believe. I believe Donald Trump was sent to us by Providence. I believe his victory in 2024 was providential. I think it was the hand of God. And I think God has bestowed his favor upon America one last time. And that's why I'm serious as a heart attack. We can't get it wrong this time. We can't. We just can't. We've got to get it right. And what has really impressed me about Trump, not just his toughness, his resilience, his bravery, his patriotism. I mean, my God, all of the obstacles that he had to overcome. 2 impeachments, 4 criminal cases, the civil cases, 2 assassination attempts. I could go on and on and on. And the entire bureaucracy against him, the Democratic Party against him, the Republican establishment against him, the deep state against him, the media against him, and he still won the election. It's a miracle. I'm sorry, it's a miracle. Now, why am I so positive and upbeat? Because Pete Hegseth, they're all singing off the same choir book now. Okay? Unlike in 2016. Trump now, because he got so badly burned the first time and then had an election stolen from him, in a sense, everybody's been smoked out. You know the expression, God writes straight with crooked lines? And so you think, well, the election was stolen. We had 4 horrible years and it's all true. But now we know exactly where the enemy is and who the enemy is. So, just quickly, to your point, John, Pete Hegseth has now said the entire senior military leadership is going to get purged. It's no longer going to be Milley's military. They're all gone. These generals, these parade generals, out. Senior officers, out. Now, the deep state, cleaned out. John Ratcliffe said, the CIA, we're going to clean it out. Kash Patel, God bless him, is going to clean out the FBI from top to bottom. Pam Bondi, her confirmation hearings, that woman is a lion. That woman is a warrior. That's all I got to say. Woman is tough as nails. She says it's going to be a brand new Justice Department. Everyone that was involved in the politicization, out. And many of them are going to go to jail. So what I'm saying is, institution by institution by institution, Trump is going to purge and clean, restore, repair, rebuild. That's why his picks had to be perfect. His picks have to be the right picks. And I'm not going to stop. We've got to get RFK Jr. in as Health and Human Services Secretary. He's going to go after Fauci. There has to be a reckoning for COVID. He's going to do it. We've got to get Tulsi in as DNI because she's going to go after the intelligence agencies and get out all of the traitors and these cowards and anti-Trumpers who have been destroying our country. So we're not over the finish line just yet, but we're getting there. So, we're on the cliff. We're about to fall off the cliff. But sometimes you can pull back and save yourself. And that's what Trump's presidency to me is. It's a salvation. It's America's chance to save itself one last time. And to me, that's why I can't wait for Monday at 12:01 p.m. I can't wait. Because I truly believe it's not just a new chapter. It's not just a new administration. It's going to be a new golden age. And Trump's going to have to move, and he's going to have to move quick. Now, I want him. He's got so much to do on so many fronts. But to me, and you may disagree with me, I think he's got to move on the border and on illegal aliens first. Above all, others are important, but to me, that's the most important. Monday, January 20th, high noon, comes the reckoning. 8:50 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. So the poll question, I think, set us up very nice, but let me put that log on the fire, make it as explicit as I can. Trump, Holman are saying we're not just going to go to sanctuary cities and sanctuary states and start deporting criminal illegal aliens in massive numbers. What we're going to do is, if need be, if we get zero cooperation, and if they try to shield and protect them, we are going to cut all federal funding. Blank you. Choke on that. Massachusetts, he's already warned Healy. Gavin Newsom, he's already warned California. Pritzker, he's warning Illinois. Both Adams and Hochul, he's warning New York. He's telling now these blue states, be careful. You violate federal immigration law. You aid and abet illegal aliens. We're going to come after you, and you're going to pay a big price, starting with no federal funds. We're going to cut it off cold. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Is this something Trump and Holman should do, or should they keep their powder dry and wait? I say drop the hammer, but that's me. Let's go to Maria in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Maria, and welcome.
Hi, good morning, Jeff.
Maria, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good.
The last time that I was at a rally with you was in Salem. We were going through the same thing. Do you remember the drug dealer got caught with an overabundance of everything, and the judge that we were there rallying against let him out saying, well, he needed to provide for his family. And he was an illegal, and he was a drug dealer. It's the same thing, different day. Nothing ever changes. And I think part of the problem is we don't change our language. Stop calling these people elites. Our politicians are no better than used car salesmen. They're always trying to sell you garbage, saying that it's good. But once you get off the lot, so sad, too bad. It's yours. You're stuck with it. And people just continue to, oh yeah, I know that one, check. I know that one, check. And they don't pay attention to who they're voting for. We're going through the same thing in New Hampshire. It's the same thing, different day, different place. And nobody cares that the things that they're doing to our towns, our cities, our states, our country, with all the money that we send out to all of these countries, with all the money that we're paying for all these people to send their people to our country, those yellow lines in the middle of our highways should be gold leaf. There should not be one homeless American. There should not be one hungry American. We should all have health care that we can afford. We should never have a problem. But everybody just checks the box. Yep, I know that one. Check, check, check. And then half of the people for all of our local, we have it up here. I scream about it every time. All of our local ballots, we get a quarter of the people that show up. And everybody gives themselves raises because they know that it's going to happen. Maura Healey gave her girlfriend a raise, finding a loophole because she knew it was the same thing was going to happen down there. Maura Healey was able to come out and say, you know, if you're a woman and you don't want to go into the bathroom with someone that you don't think is a woman, too bad for you. But they still checked it. Check. So how they're dumbing down our children purposely and getting rid of testing so we have no scale. They're purposely putting out drugs that they're saying, oh, these are legal now. They want us drugged, stupid, illiterate, checking the box. Yeah, we know that name. Check.
Maria, you're completely correct. Absolutely. As I like to say, you're not 100, you're 1,000% correct. I want to ask you two questions because I think you know, apathy, essentially, that's what your point is, and you're right. There's so much public and voter apathy, and they just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. So I want to ask you this. I remember when Healey came out and said to the women of this state, adult women, by the way, not just teenage women or young women, but adult women. And she said, well, you want to go into a women's restroom, but there's a man, a biological man who claims to be transgender, okay, with a wig and some lipstick, or no wig and no lipstick. He just imagines that he's a woman. And you feel very uncomfortable. I'll never forget this. She said, hold it. That's why one of my nicknames for her is Hold It Healey. Now, I remember at the time, I was surprised how little outrage there was about from so many women in the state. Like, I'm sorry, you're a taxpayer. You're a grown woman. And this governor is telling you to hold it? You don't like it? Hold it. Do you know how humiliating and embarrassing and insulting that is? Can you imagine? Just stand back for a second, okay? You want to go to the bathroom at work. And you go in and there's a guy. There's some freak in the women's bathroom. And you go to your boss. And you go to the boss and you say, hey, look, I got to go to the bathroom. But there's this guy in there. I don't feel comfortable. I don't think I should have to share a bathroom. You know, as Nancy Mace put it, someone exposing a schlong. Okay? As she put it, I don't have to, why do I have to see a penis? As she put it. This is degrading. And your boss says to you, well, hold it. Just hold it. Too bad for you. Hold it. Or soil your pants. You'd slap him in the face. And you'd be right to slap him in the face. Say, I'm sorry, I'm a grown woman. If I have to go, I have to go. Now, I couldn't believe it. The apathy among so many, people, obviously the women who listen to this show, but they were upset. But outside of the people who listen to this show, the general public, I just couldn't believe it. Your governor just slapped you in the face. Now, second point. So, A, why do you think so many women are apathetic when it comes to this issue? And number two, fentanyl. Drugs in general, but let's go with fentanyl. It's killing everybody. It's in every state. It's in every community. It's in every school. It's in every neighborhood. Everywhere you go, especially young people, university students, college students, high school students. Like, my God. I mean, are people so brain dead? No, really. Is it the devices? Everybody's just in front of an iPhone or an iPad? Is everybody visiting a cannabis shop? Because I see all the signs everywhere. On Route 1, on my way home, all I see is billboard after billboard for one cannabis shop, a marijuana pot shop. One after another after another. I'm like, there that many people getting stoned all day and all night? So, don't we care about our children? I mean, doesn't anybody make the connection? That could be my kid. It's not just someone else's kid. This could happen to us. Like, we don't need this. We don't want this. Let's wake up. So I want to ask you, Maria, in all seriousness, why are so many women apathetic when it comes to this issue of transgender bathrooms and being told to hold it and not be offended? And why do so many voters not care that we are awash in some of the most lethal, deadly drugs ever that is killing 100,000 Americans a year? That's more than all the men we lost in Vietnam, all the soldiers we lost in Iraq, all the soldiers we lost in Afghanistan combined every year. They don't care. What's your theory?
Well, for the first one, the hold it issue, I think there's so many women, middle-aged women that are online that just need that. Oh my God, they're just struggling people, that need help, So if you need to go to the bathroom, you can either wait if you're uncomfortable, and you shouldn't be uncomfortable because they're just people. It's that virtual pat on the back that these. I don't know why. I don't know why. I am a woman, born and raised. I'm a woman, been one my entire life. I don't know why they need that pat on the back. Oh, you're so brave for saying that out loud. Stop it. Even if they think underneath, oh my God, what if I ever get caught in the bathroom with someone with a beard? Because that they're actually thinking that, and they only go to the places that they know have a single stall bathroom. So these women aren't fooling anybody. Women are horrible. They'll say one thing to your face and then they'll say another thing behind your back. That's what a woman is, sad to say. So all these women that are looking for the virtual pat on the back, they're doing something different. As far as the fentanyl thing goes, I think people got their head in the sand. It's not my kid. I think that's as simple as it is. I don't know anybody, so it can't be that bad. I think that's it.
You're right. No, Maria, you're right. I mean, I'm sighing, but not because I disagree. I agree. I'm like, yeah, I think you pretty much put your finger right on it. It's we're going to pay a big price for this. If we don't turn things around, we're going to pay a big, big price. That's why, again, Monday can't come fast enough. And Maria, I'm going to make a prediction. You watch. You watch how quick that border gets sealed. You watch how quick the drugs get out, go back. You watch how many illegals get deported. I mean, you watch how these sanctuaries fall one after another, like dominoes. Like, you just watch. And you're going to say, everyone's going to say, it just took that little, huh? It's like that deal now they just signed between Hamas and Israel. Whatever you think of the merits of the deal. All Trump had to do is come out, one statement, and tell Hamas, hostages don't come home, there's going to be hell to pay. And suddenly, they have a deal. Like, it took that little, just that, and we're going to get some hostages freed. We're going to be amazed at how much Trump is going to achieve and accomplish just because he wants it to happen. Just because there's some will and conviction behind it. Maria, thank you very much for that call. 617-266 6868. I got another big story that I want to add to this conversation, but let me take another call, and then I want to go to it quickly because you need to hear about it. Because to me, you want to talk about hypocrisy. This may be the mother of all hypocrisies. But first, Bill in Medfield. Thanks for holding, Bill, and welcome.
Hi, how you doing? First time caller, long time listener. I was there
welcome,
on May 6th when you were at the Capitol talking. Anyway, I got a real bad story about what's happening to me. But before I get there, I want to say I'd like to request a song, the biggest Leonard Skinner fan who ever lived, for your father and for Donald Trump on Inauguration Day. It's called I Know He Was There on First and Last, in memory of your father and for good luck for Donald Trump.
We will play that Monday's show. You got it. Mike, please write that note down, and we'll definitely play that song. Bill, please go. You got it? Yeah. Ask and you shall receive, Bill. Bill, please go ahead and tell your story.
As soon as I turned 66, I was born in Sydney, Nova Scotia, and my mother was living with her, went to visit her mother for a mini vacation, and she had me, early birth. So ever since I turned 66, I've been going everywhere to try to I'm not being paid my Social Security. I'm the illegal immigrant. I can't find the paperwork on the American born abroad from Sydney, and I guess Halifax is the consulate for Nova Scotia. So I've gone like 8 times to Social Security. I've gone to Shines and, them things that help you with. And another thing, I'm being denied. I don't have a primary health care physician. I'm 67 and 3 months now. I'm being given a runaround. I called up Vital Records in Virginia, and 6 months later, I call them up again. Oh, we can't find your records of being American born abroad in Halifax's what do you call it, archives. So I have no idea what also I heat my house with the heaters from the stove because my the furnace is broken. My shower, the ceiling leaked, so I can't take a shower. I live in like 40 degrees inside the house, and I'm being denied my Social Security. I don't know what to do next.
That is so wrong. I just want to ask you, Bill, so you're an American citizen, or your mother was American, and you were born in Nova Scotia, correct?
Both parents were born, one in New Bedford, one in Long Island.
I got you. So both your parents were American. You were born in Nova Scotia, and you have a Social Security number, right, don't you?
I got that 45 years ago.
Okay. And do you have an American passport?
Never got that, and now I'm like being denied because I'm an unlawful citizen.
Unbelievable. Bill, look, you've got to complain. You've got to go right away to the Social Security Administration and say, look, this is my Social Security number. I'm an American citizen. I was born to 2 Americans. I forget 65. I'm going on 67. I want and demand my Social Security check, and I want and demand Medicare. And don't get off the phone until they say yes. Bill, you've got to do that. Call the Social Security Administration. Give them your Social Security number. This is beyond unacceptable. It's disgusting. Bill, best of luck, and thank you very much for that call. This is what I mean. Look, this is what I'm talking about. Americans get the runaround. Because, look, they don't want to pay the guy Social Security. That's what this is. They don't want to give him Medicare. They want to scamp. They're cheap. They want to cut corners. But if you're an illegal, no problemo. Social Security for you. Don't even ask. Free health care. Don't even ask. What living in a room with a wood stove and 40-degree temperature and leaks in your shower? A hotel. Go ahead. Warm bed, maid service, 3 catered meals. Don't worry, we got you. Plus a $2,000 prepaid Visa gift card. Go ahead, spend some cash. It's disgusting. This is what I mean. This is why Trump won. Enough. It's time to put America and Americans first. 617-266-6868. Tony in Florida. Thanks for holding, Tony, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff, my fellow patriot. And before I get to my point, Jeff, on behalf of my wife and I, we wanted to send our condolences to you and your family on the loss of your father.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tony. I appreciate it.
Of course. You're welcome. Jeff, the way I'm looking at this whole thing is that Monday is going to be an amazing day. I look at it as if as soon as he takes his hand off that Bible, it's going to be as if a light switch went on. It's going to be immediate, and you're going to see an unprecedented administration where it's going to be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because they're going to need that much time to fix everything that this administration has done to this country. But it's going to be around the clock, around the world, here at home. It's going to be the most amazing golden age, as you said, and even President Trump says it, that we've ever seen. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and we're all going to be able to witness it. So we all need to just enjoy it, and it's going to be just absolutely amazing. It's going to be a well-oiled machine where we're basically going to see like multiple things going on constantly while we're sleeping. I mean, it's going to be 24/7. It's going to be constant. It's just so exciting. It's going to be the greatest time this country's ever known. Probably as big, if not bigger, than 1776. This is our moment. This is our time. Let's hold on and enjoy the ride, Jeff.
Oh, I agree, Tony. Monday is going to be one of the happiest days of my life. I mean, look, election night, I'll never forget that Trump won. I cried. I mean, I don't know if I told the story or not, but it was maybe, 2:30? Don't quote me, but it was the middle of the night. I had to get up to do the show. I got a little bit I just went to bed, and then I heard my sister-in-law was visiting us. And so Grace then went to bed about 5-10 minutes after I did. I couldn't sleep. I had so much adrenaline in me. But I'm just closing my eyes, just praying, please God, please God. And then I just hear my sister-in-law had still stayed up, Lori. She lives in Arizona, but she was visiting us. And we just heard her cheering and jumping up and down and clapping. And I said to Grace, don't tell me he won. Did he already? Like they called it that quickly? And so she ran to the family room, and then she ran back in, and she said he did it. He just won Pennsylvania. He's got Pennsylvania. He crossed 270, and I cried. I mean, I cried. And I told Grace, I said, please, let's just say a prayer right now. And so we were in bed together. We held hands, and we prayed, and we thanked the Lord, because I knew then our country was going to be saved. So that, and that show and the whole day after, and I was on cloud 9. But I think Monday, if it's possible, I'm going to be even happier. Why? Because he's going to be inaugurated. It's finally going to happen. More next. I got a piece of 9:19 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, you can also text the Kuhner Man, 70470, 70470. Okay. Big story, and it ties in perfectly to what we're talking about. Who has been one of the most leading critics of Trump on the world stage? And not just of Trump supporters, of Trump voters, of MAGA, and let's say of people inspired by MAGA, because we have many other people who support us all over Europe, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, around the world. Pope Francis. Now, listen to this, okay? The very same Pope, and it pains me to say this as a devout Roman Catholic, and I say this with the utmost respect for the institution of the papacy and the institution of the Catholic Church, which I hold very, very dear. But right is right and wrong is wrong. And hypocrisy is hypocrisy. So I want you to listen to this. This is an unbelievable story. It broke yesterday. The very same Holy Father, the very same Pope, who has been calling Donald Trump and his supporters sinners, who has said, if you do not open your country up to migrants, to illegal aliens, you are engaged in a quote-unquote grave sin. That God, as he put it, walks with the migrants, cries with the migrants, loves with the migrants. That this is what God wants. I'm just a verbatim quote that Francis has said repeatedly. And that to vote in favor of secure borders and deporting illegal aliens or the so-called migrants is a sin, according to him. Now, where he finds this sin, I don't know. It's nowhere in the Catholic Catechism. He's a globalist. He's an open borders socialist globalist. That's what he is. So literally, he's flirting with heresy. He's making stuff up. But the point is, he has said this again and again. Well, listen now to this. The Vatican now released this statement yesterday. As you know, the Vatican itself is a city-state. It's a sovereign territory. The Vatican now says that the Vatican city-state will now enact stiffer penalties on anyone that enters its territory or violates its airspace, i.e. drones, without permission. So, if you illegally cross the border, and they do have border checkpoints all over the Vatican. In fact, just so that you know, the Pope has decried walls. The Trump wall that he's going to complete and build, he says, is a sin. The Vatican is the only jurisdiction in the world literally completely walled in. 40, 50 feet high walls, surrounded by walls, walled in. They have one major border checkpoint guarded by guards. Okay? The Swiss guards. Now he says, if any illegal alien, if any migrant, if anyone crosses into the Vatican city-state, here's what you're going to get. You're going to get fined 10 to 25,000 euros. It's almost on par with the American dollar. Okay, almost. So basically 10, for simplicity's sake, 10 to $25,000. Bang, on the spot. They don't ask whether you can pay or not. And a jail sentence, a prison sentence of 1 to 4 years. 1 to 4 years. Now, here's what they write. I'm giving you the exact text. It's in Italian, but they translated it to English. They say anyone who enters the territory of Vatican City State with violence, threat, or deception will be punished with imprisonment from 1 year to 4 years and a fine from 10,000 euros to 25,000 euros. So you may say, Jeff, well, what do they mean by entering by quote-unquote deception, which is what illegal aliens do? Here's what they mean. Quote, entry by fraudulent circumvention of the state's security and protection systems or by evading border controls shall be deemed to have occurred by deception, the Pope's decree elucidates. In other words, like the illegals crossing our border by the tens of millions. You come in illegally, it's by deception, bang, we catch you, $10,000 to $25,000 fine on the spot, and 1 to 4 years in jail. We don't even do that. Trump isn't even proposing that. Trump's not saying, hey, you cross our border illegally, you're going at least a year in the can, or we're going to fine you $10,000. He's just saying deport their ass. That's it. That's it. Now, it gets even worse if they come in illegally with the aid of guns, weapons, dangerous substances, or listen to this, as a group. In other words, all those caravans that have been flooding our country? No. If you go to Vatican City State, it's 4 years in prison if you come in as a group. You can't make this up. He's a hypocrite. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. He's telling us to open our borders, but he's keeping his closed. Joining me now, as she always does at this time, the CEO, president, co-founder of Kelly Financial Services, and yes, that is her wonderful name, Kelly. Kelly, how are you?
Good morning, Jeff. I am good. Retirement is a time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, but it's also a period when financial stability becomes more critical than ever. So seeking expert financial advice is essential, regardless of your age. Professional guidance ensures your assets are allocated wisely, helping your money last as long as you need it. The advisors at Kelly Financial will help you take charge of your financial future and preserve your hard-earned wealth to enable you to focus on the retirement you've dreamed of. We have a free investor guide called Designing Your Fiscal House to Weather the Elements, which highlights the steps needed to build a balanced portfolio. For the guide or a free consultation with a Kelly advisor, give us a call or email kelly@kellyfinancial.org. Jeff, I will continue this conversation with our Kelly advisors tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Safe Money Strategies Radio. Do tune in or go to our website for our radio rewind. Jeff, have a wonderful weekend. My best to Grace and the kiddos.
Thank you. All the best to you and everyone at Kelly Financial. Have a great weekend, Kelly. If you want to make a call now, I urge all of you, free consultation, 888-800-1881. Call 888-800-1881, or you can actually email Kelly herself, kelly@kellyfinancial.org. That's kelly@kellyfinancial.org. 9:33 on the great WRKO. Okay, my friends, let me throw this log on the fire. Is Pope Francis a hypocrite? To me, you want to talk about a phony and a fraud. So now they issue this huge statement just before Trump is inaugurated. So they say, you vote for him, it's a sin. His border policy is a sin. His deportation policy is a sin. But guess what? Now they say we're going to toughen up the fines, and you're actually now going to go to jail if you come into the Vatican City State as an illegal. 1 to 4 years in jail and 10 to 25,000 euro fine on the spot just for entering their territory illegally. And as I said, 40-foot high walls encasing and encircling and protecting the entire Vatican. Now, here is what Pope Francis said during the election campaign. And it was clearly intended at Donald Trump. Here's what he said. Quote, "It must be said clearly, there are those who work systematically and by any means to turn away migrants. And this, when done with conscience and responsibility, is a grave sin." And then he went on to say, and I referenced it earlier, but here is the exact quote. God shares the drama of migrants. God is with them, with migrants. He suffers with them, with migrants. He weeps and hopes with them, with migrants. And then he said that the Lord is with our migrants and not with those who turn them away. Wink, wink, Donald Trump. Holy Father, with all due respect, what about you? So you're not weeping with God? You're turning them away? What turning them away? You're fining and jailing them. Trump's just turning them away. So you can deny illegals coming in. You can turn away the migrants. You can have a secure border. You can deport anyone that comes in illegally without authorization. But America can't. France can't. Italy can't. The West can't. With all due respect, and it pains me to say it, you're a phony, you're a fraud, and you're a hypocrite. Your own words, your own statement, and your own policies. Damn you. 617-266-6868 is the number. Agree, disagree. Lines are loaded. Tom, red, white, and blue dynamite baby in New Jersey. Thanks for holding, Tom, and welcome.
Eternal rest grant unto Jack Kuhner. May perpetual light shine upon him. May his soul and all the souls of the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you very much.
Jeff,
very warm and very heartfelt. Thank you.
You're most welcome. And from Jack Kuhner to Jeff Kuhner, that's red, white, and blue dynamite, baby.
Tom, what do you make of Trump's inauguration? And now he's saying he is going to deny federal funding to sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. Liberals are now vowing massive resistance, as you know, and one of those is Pope Francis. Yet he seems to be doing, he says one thing, but he does the exact opposite. I know you're a devout Catholic yourself. Is the Pope a hypocrite on this issue, Tom?
Jeff Kuhner, you're exactly correct. You hit the bullseye as you do 99% of the time. And before I get to Pope Judas, President Trump needs to do one thing every morning. Be on air at 6 a.m., turn on the Kuhner Report, and listen to every minute until 10 a.m., and he will have the best presidency that is humanly possible, because that is Jeff Kuhner, Professor Kuhner, showing him the way. Now we get to Pope Judas, who has been, and in case his mother didn't tell him, we will tell him, he's a fake, a phony, a fraud, and a hypocrite. And it pains me to say that, Jeff Kuhner, because we are both practicing Catholics in good standing. But we neither worship the Pope, and we have had bad popes. And he, unfortunately, has been and continues to be a bad pope. So he has this is not a matter of faith and morals. He's FOS when it comes to the border. He sits and has his lobster and filet mignon dinners with his 40-foot high wall, with his entourage of people protecting him, his handlers, his Swiss Guard, so on and so forth. And we have 100,000 beautiful people dying of fentanyl overdoses. Pope Judas, you are wrong. And you're committing grave sin, and you are a heretic, and you should knock it off. But there are priests that know it, Jeff. They know where he is and what he's a rogue Jesuit, Jeff. That's really what he is. And I went to BC. I know all about the rogue Jesuits. Okay, they're great educators, but many of them, they're rogue. They're leftists. They're in with the communists, the socialists, and it's unfortunate, Jeff. And I think you agree with me.
Oh, completely. No, he's the Red Pope. That's what he is. He's the Obama of the Catholic Church. And I'm sorry, but it's time, especially now. I mean, he's been so exposed as a hypocrite with this statement. Hey, it's time for him to retire. I'm sorry, but I mean, come on. I mean, how do you stand there condemning Trump and Marine Le Pen and, many others in Europe as well? But this is primarily aimed at Trump, saying, oh, my God, you defend your borders. You deny illegals and so-called migrants to pour into your country. You're a sinner. You're sinning against God. And yet you issue this new policy that's even harsher and stricter. As I said, I don't want to repeat myself. Trump's not even saying we're going to fine you $10,000 if you're coming across the border illegally or put you in jail for a year to 4 years. This guy says you're going to go to the can and you got to pay $10,000 to $25,000. Holy mackerel. Who can take this guy seriously anymore after this? That's what I meant. He's damned himself with his own words. Tom, thank you so much for that call and have a wonderful weekend. 617-266-6868. And that's my advice to Trump. That just go on Truth Social and say, I'm not even as hardline as you are when it comes to illegal immigration. And you're lecturing me? Nick in Weymouth. Thanks for holding, Nick, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, I had called earlier about the deportation stuff. Is it okay to talk to that?
Yeah, of course. It's all on the table, Nick. All of it.
All right, kid. And yes, of course, I haven't talked to you in quite some time, and you have my deepest sympathies and admiration for your dad who for raising your family and under the conditions, and his father before him. You deserve all the credit in the world. God bless you. Nothing talks like money that you have to pay and time that you might have to do in prison or jail, okay? In this particular state, just like other...
we're up against a hard break. Nick, hang on. I'll promise I'm going to come right back to you. 617-266-6868. Your calls next. 947 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 if you want to be part of the show. Okay, let's go right back to Nick in Weymouth. Nick, you were going to talk about, I believe, the federal funding for sanctuary states and sanctuary cities, especially here in Massachusetts, how Trump now says that's exactly what they're going to cut off if they try to block his deportations. Please pick up where you left off, Nick.
Look at two states. Let's look at New York and then Massachusetts. Interesting ways you can go after people to make them do what you want them to do or make them not do what you don't want them to do. RICO, for instance, was a good example of that with the crime syndicate. Unfortunately, the crime moved from the bad guys to the legislative guys. So anyway, in New York, remember the Brinkman case, the great crypto coin chairman, CEO, whatever. He gave $45 million to the DNC, and he gave $5 million extra dollars to the cadaver in chief, who was going to be running, I believe it was 2020. It might have been 2022, but I believe it was 2020. Jeff, the last time I robbed a bank, which is never, if I took home $1.5 million and I gave you $500,000 because you drove the getaway car, right? Guess what? Or maybe not at all. I gave you $500,000 because I thought you were a good guy, right? The feds will be after you and me, to give the money back, right? That did not happen. That's interesting. What was nasty about that? A lot of money laundering was going on with that particular institution, including laundering money for cartels. Okay? So that could have been brought to bear, but unfortunately the judge in that case was one that also is a civil case, a U.S. federal case. The one, remember the not-so-attractive woman case? They claimed that Trump had his way with her 30, 40 years ago and no one ever knew. Why would you have a federal judge there? They said because at one time he was the president. He wasn't a president when he did it, though, did he? But anyways, that judge, they've given him 25 years, but the family's whining. They want him out of New York in sort of like a holding place so they can visit him. Well, guess what? When it comes to visiting your people who are really bad guys, you move them, near the Canadian border, maybe in Canada, maybe you finance Canada to take out prisoners. Why don't you make a deal with the Russians in Siberia? See what it costs to incarcerate somebody there, because you don't want them here. Right? I don't think I'm getting any visitors soon. Massachusetts, there's a lot of goings on lately. Don't want to change the topics. We're talking about some people who've been murdered. Seems to be a person got murdered, cop actually. They want to pin it on somebody, and I'm not getting into defending the defendant or anything like that. But a lot of strange goings on, which includes a federal case, which was supposed to be a suicide hanging of a young girl in Canton, right? So that has something to do with Stoughton, because the investigator was a...
No, I hear, but we're kind of going a little bit off track here, Nick. I don't want to get too far afield. No, look, but just on your issue of incarceration, I agree with you. I think we should be incarcerating these people in places like in North Dakota, or in, upstate Maine, or hell, Alaska, really, or if you buy Greenland, put them up in Greenland. It could be our version of Siberia. No, really. I think we've been way too soft on criminals, and especially illegal alien criminals, for way too long. So A, build more prisons. B, sentence criminals to much longer sentences. And C, if they're criminal illegal aliens, really throw the book at them. And you want to deter it? That's a way to deter it. Let's go quickly. Mark in Connecticut. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Monday, da 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 da, so good to me. Oh man, I can't wait. Really,
Mark, I'm so with you. I got to tell you, Mark, should Trump drop the hammer on blue states, sanctuary cities, no federal funds, period. What say you?
Oh yeah, they're breaking the law completely. Though you can't have a city go against the federal government like that. It's illegal to start with. So okay, you get no federal funds, and you gotta send the ICE people in there and not announce it, and just right after have the feds take those illegals away out of the court. That's it. You're done. Don't tell the states you're coming in there. Just get them. Get them out. And I'll tell you something. If you rape a woman, you should be castrated and then thrown in prison for 10 years. If you rape a child, you should be castrated, beaten, executed, and then send your body back to the country that you came from so they have to bury you. We can't fool around these people. You're ruining people's lives forever. A child will never be the same. A woman will never be the same. You don't do that to people. You don't ruin their lives like that. So, we have to get tougher in this country. We have to stop pussyfooting around. I don't know if I should have said that. Or with these criminals. Really. Because,
Mark, let me ask you. I agree with you. 1,000, not 100, 1,000%. Okay? Completely agree with you. Mark, what is it with these Democrats? Elizabeth Warren, you got Blumenthal in your neck of the woods, Chris Murphy, another one in your neck of the woods. Okay, two crazy moonbats. We got Warren and Markey here, but you've got Bernie up in Vermont. You've got Hirono out in Hawaii. They keep defending the rights. Forget even criminal illegal aliens. Literally, as you just said, rapists, child molesters, sexual predators, and they won't have them deported once they're convicted and sent to jail? They won't have them detained? They're literally voting against these laws that are designed to protect women and children. Why are they so determined, Mark, to appease, protect, shield, and coddle the worst of the worst criminals? Do you have a theory on that, Mark?
Yeah, George Soros is a man who makes money on on death, destruction, and all that. I mean, he's proven that. We should get him the hell out. But he's paying those Democrats a lot of money, so they have to march in lockstep with him. And you see, they don't have their own minds. They all mouth the same ridiculous, comments. And I think it's from their paymasters. China, Soros, who got a award.
Presidential Medal of Freedom, Mark. The highest civilian honor. That Nazi collaborator. Yeah, Mark, I'm telling you can't make it up. Mark, I think you really hit the nail on the head. I think they're bought and paid for, and they're just doing the bidding of Soros and Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates. And that's why I want that Epstein list released. And I'll bet you anything you want. Many of them on that list, powerful, prominent Democrats. I gotta go. Bye-bye.